Okay, so today we're diving deep into a topic that I think a lot of our listeners can relate to, overcoming setbacks.
Yeah.
Now we're basing this deep dive off of this really cool video that I found.
Okay.
And what's so interesting about it is it's not about how to avoid setbacks.
Okay.
It's more about like the strength and the resilience that we can discover in ourselves when we push through them.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. It's
so it's
kind of like, instead of trying to like avoid the potholes in the road, it's like, how do you build a car that can like handle going over the potholes?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's such a more empowering way to look at it.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting too, because it really does change the whole conversation around setbacks, you know?
Right.
We talk a lot about resilience and grit and all that, but this is kind of taking it a step further and saying like, setbacks are not just something to bounce back from. They're actually like,
part of the process.
Okay, so like almost like essential.
Yeah, like almost like they're like these built-in checkpoints on the way to like actually achieving something meaningful.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, it's like you're not going to get to where you need to go unless you've hit a couple of these.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like
roadblocks or whatever.
Yeah. And it's not about like celebrating failure or anything like that. It's just about like acknowledging that like you're going to hit those points, and it's what you do in those moments that really matters.
So in the video, it says that like setbacks don't define us. Yeah. Why is that so important?
Well, I think because for a lot of people, like when they hit a setback, that's when that self-doubt creeps in, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's easy to kind of get caught up in that and feel like, oh, this is it. Like I've failed, I'm done. But I think what this video is trying to say is like, that's not the case. Like, it's just a moment in time. It's a data point.
Yeah.
It's something to learn from, and then you move forward.
So it's about reframing that whole experience.
Right. So it's like you said, it's like a data point. It's not like the end.
Exactly.
It's just like, okay, now we've learned this and we can move on.
Yeah. And I think it ties into this whole idea of the growth mindset, you know, where challenges are seen as opportunities for learning and development. So setbacks then become less about failure and more about like valuable information. You know, they highlight areas where we can adapt, we can learn, we can ultimately come back stronger.
I see.
And this video's message is all about like owning that process, you know, like that starting from scratch mentality.
Okay.
Rebuilding piece by piece, bit by bit, as it says.
Oh, yeah. It does use that phrase, piece by piece, bit by bit.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it also uses this really vivid imagery.
Yes.
Of sweat upon sweat.
Right.
It's not sugarcoating the effort.
No, not at all. It's highlighting like the dedication, the sheer hard work that goes into overcoming these setbacks. But it also beautifully contrasts that with the idea that like consistent small steps eventually lead to those giant strides. Yeah. So it's a reminder that progress isn't always linear. You know, it's about endurance. It's about patience.
Yeah. And that like those small steps, like, they really do add up.
They do. And you know, sometimes you might feel like you're not making any progress, but if you just keep taking those small steps, eventually look back, you're like, wow, I've come a long way.
Yeah. And that's a good reminder too, because I think a lot of us can get discouraged when we don't see those big results right away.
Yeah. I think we live in a culture that's very like instant gratification focused.
Yes.
But real progress takes time.
So, and I want to talk about this phrase from the video that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Coming back from the impossible.
Right.
That sounds
almost mythical.
Yeah, it is. It's very evocative imagery, right?
But I think what it's trying to get at is this idea of defying expectations, both internal and external. You know, it's about achieving something that others or even you yourself might have deemed impossible.
Wow, yeah.
You know, it could be an athlete pushing past a career-ending injury or someone rebuilding their life after a personal tragedy. It's about finding that inner strength to rewrite the narrative.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, it's not about what happened to you, it's about what you do with what happened to you.
So it's really about like taking control.
Exactly.
Yeah. Of the situation.
Yeah, and not letting the setback define, you know, like we were saying earlier.
Right.
It's about using it as fuel to propel you forward.
Yeah, so powerful. And I think like even if someone is listening to this and they're feeling really stuck, like maybe they can look at it from that perspective. Like what's something that I previously thought was impossible that I can now use this as fuel to achieve.
Absolutely. And And I think it's important to remember that, like, the impossible is often just a perception, right. Like what one person might deem impossible, another person might see as a challenge. So it's about shifting your perspective and believing in your ability to overcome obstacles.
So now I want to touch on another part of the video
Okay.
that I thought was really interesting. And that's when it talks about building empires and carving your name in history.
Right.
That sounds very...
It's a very legacy driven.
Yeah, it is. It's about like leaving your mark on the world.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it speaks to this ripple effect of resilience,
Great.
It's not just about personal achievement. It's about the impact you have on others.
Oh, I see.
Those who overcome challenges often become beacons of inspiration.
Right.
They demonstrate that achieving the impossible is in fact possible, and their stories empower others to do the same.
Yeah, like they're setting an example. Exactly. Yeah, and you think about historical figures who faced incredible adversity, yet left a lasting mark on the world. Like, their resilience continues to inspire generations later.
So it's almost like we're all part of this, like, larger story of...
Yeah, like a human story of resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this message so compelling, right? It connects individual resilience to a broader narrative of progress and hope.
And this is something that I noticed throughout the video, but there's so much really striking imagery.
Yes.
And one of the images that really stood out to me was the image of a loud gong of hope.
Oh, yeah.
Like their comeback is this resounding message.
It's like a possibility.
Yeah, like a beacon. It's like it's signaling to others that, like, hey, I went through this and I came out on the other side, and so can you.
Exactly. And it's almost like giving permission to other people to do the same. Yeah, and I think it also ties back to the video's core message, like learning from the past and using those setbacks as fuel for future progress. It even touches on generational resilience with the line, "Our fathers never gave up, nor will we."
Yeah.
It's this powerful statement about carrying that torch forward, building upon the strength of those who came before us.
That line really got me, I have to say.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's just so powerful. And it really highlights this idea that we're not just building our own legacies, but contributing to something much larger.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about the collective spirit of perseverance.
Yeah.
And the impact that it can have on shaping a better future.
So to kind of recap here, I think the main takeaway is that setbacks are going to happen.
They are a part of the journey.
Yeah.
Like, you can't avoid them.
Yeah, but with resilience, determination, and that focus on progress, we can achieve incredible things that we might have once considered impossible.
Absolutely. And on that note, I'll leave you with this. What impossible challenge are you facing?
Ooh, good one.
And how can you draw inspiration from this message to fuel your own journey of resilience and progress?
I like that. That's a good one to end on.
Yeah, I think it's something for everyone to kind of ponder, like what's that thing that you're up against that feels insurmountable, and how can you tap into that inner strength to overcome it?
That's great.
All right, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And to all our listeners out there, keep pushing forward.
Keep going.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.